Michael Rubin and Fanatics just pulled off probably the most savage business deal of all time. This is nuts what they have done. Fanatics has built an absolute monster of a business, and they've never even sold a single product. Here's exactly how this occurred. Fanatics launched a trading card business 6 months ago. They then brokered exclusive deals with the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and its player associations by offering them equity in the new business. Very savvy business move. Topps, which had those deals, watched its valuation crumble after it lost its exclusive Major League Baseball license and was forced to cancel its plans to go public at a $1.3 billion valuation. Fanatics essentially killed the Topps business. Then Fanatics used its new license agreements as leverage to go out and raise $350 million at a $10.4 billion valuation without ever producing an actual card. Fanatics then used that fresh pile of cash to buy Topps for $500 million, representing a massive discount to their previous $1.3 billion valuation. Michael Rubin, the founder of Fanatics, is on another level in terms of execution right now. He was able to build a business from scratch. He was able to go find the exclusive license deals. He was literally able to kill his only competitor, and then he turned around and he used his balance sheet to buy them. Michael Rubin and Fanatics killed Topps and then scooped up the scraps as they go forward to try to dominate. Whether it's physical cards or digital cards like NFTs, Michael Rubin, Fanatics, and the Topps deal may be the most savage business deal that we've ever seen. Joe, what's your thoughts in terms of watching this play out here? This is nuts.
Yeah, this was in the Huddle Up newsletter this morning. For anyone who wants to go and read some more details, you can go to readhuddleup.com and check it out. All right, back to the good stuff. So yeah, Michael Rubin, savage. So Fanatics, everyone should know by now, they do merchandise retailing for basically all the major sports leagues, the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, Premier League, Formula One, and so on. They're an $18 billion company. Massive business. They were valued at like $4 to $6 billion only like 1 or 2 years ago. So the business blew up during the pandemic. The exclusive rights are obviously extremely valuable. So Michael Rubin said, hey, how can I use these relationships that I've built with the league and infiltrate other areas of the sports market? We have a database of 80 million fans that's growing by 10 million more every single year that we sell products to. So he went to the major sports leagues here in North America, the MLB, the NBA, and the NFL, and said, let me take over your licensed business for trading cards. They were previously with companies like Topps and Panini and others, and said, okay, what do we get out of this? Michael Rubin, just as he has done with his other companies, gave them equity in the new venture. So their incentives were aligned and said, let's go build this together. So he gave them equity in the business, and then they gave him the exclusive licenses. These other companies got screwed because then the licenses is what they built their business on, and Michael Rubin went for it. So the interesting part now is he got all these licenses, but everyone was like, hey, man, you've never produced a card. You never marketed this stuff. You never distributed any of this stuff. You have really no experience when it comes to this. And he's hired good people, and he's got the right people in place to make this happen, everyone thinks. But ultimately, like, he had never done it. So you go out and you raise $325 or $350 million at a $10.4 billion valuation, and everyone starts asking questions like, hey, you've never actually sold anything. Why is this company worth that much? The licenses are obviously important, but ultimately you got to sell things. So now he circles back and he goes back and buys Topps, the same company that was valued at $1.3 billion, lost the license, didn't do their IPO or didn't go public via SPAC, and now he buys them for $500 million. Insane business move. Very strategic, considering he literally created, if you really think about it, this business didn't exist 6 years ago. They've never sold a product, never made a product to my knowledge, right? They got these licenses and they created $10 billion of economic value out of thin air. Fanatics still owns about 80% of it. So they created about $8 billion worth of value for themselves, and the other shareholders own about 20% of it, so about $2 billion, including investors and the leagues and so on. So crazy business move here, extremely strategic, extremely smart, and it's going to be interesting to see like how this goes, right? Because if you have a $10 billion company now that went and acquired another company, has all these rights and stuff, like how big can this get? Obviously, investors believe in the future of this and believe that it can get much bigger, but ultimately, like, this is just a savage move.
John, what did you think when you saw it?
Michael Rubin is one of the best entrepreneurs I have seen in a long time. I would put him up there with some of the great entrepreneurs simply because he's been an entrepreneur his entire life, starting with, he did wholesale for skiing equipment and snowboarding equipment, and he's moved Fanatics into, I think, a unique position with these IP of the leagues. I think is one of the most valuable things you can get in that space. He sold Fanatics, rebought Fanatics back And then also, look, he just got distribution, he just got manufacturing, and he just got a whole network of resources along with that purchase of Topps. It's a no-brainer for him, and I think the biggest flex possible is that he's been traveling around the world for Christmas and New Year's on a boat, on planes, and he's been negotiating this deal the entire time. Just speaks to the guy's work ethic.
The thing that I think about Michael Rubin is that I'm not sure, I'm sure there's people that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but he understands incentives and aligning incentives in business better than anyone I've ever seen. And what I mean by that is every company that he's created, Fanatics or other things, he always looks to see how he can align incentives in a strategic way. And the way he's typically done that is he went to these leagues and said, hey, look, you're getting paid a licensing fee. Someone is paying you whatever it is, a few $1 million, $10 million, $50 million, whatever it ends up being, depending on the league, in capital each year in cash. And you're getting that fee, but you're not getting any of the upside, right? If they go sell this X amount of money or they go sell X amount of or Y, you're not really getting any of that extra equity upside. So what he did is he created this company and said, I'll do it with you and I'll give you a percentage of the business. So he gave them equity in Fanatics, and then they went out and he did that with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different leagues. Now they're expanding into college. They're doing all these different things. Not only is he paying leagues money, but he's also generated them hundreds of millions of dollars and billions of dollars on a combined basis in equity value by building these businesses up over time. He obviously got super rich off it also. The company's worth $18 billion. He owns a majority percentage of it. So a lot of times it's better to have a smaller piece of the bigger pie, right? And he still owns a substantial stake. But ultimately what enabled him to do this is giving up small pieces of equity to these leagues, aligning incentives, so then they're not even worried about, like, think about Topps, for example. They lost the exclusive license and they lost their entire business. Literally, the business cratered in value. They couldn't sell these cards because they don't have the license anymore. So they went from a $1.3 billion valuation to selling the trading card business at $500 million. Massive discount because their incentives weren't aligned and they didn't have the exclusive partnership. So the whole goal is, like, for Rubin is now, hey, I'm just going to continue building these businesses with these leagues that I already have good relationships with. And we're going to create value for not only myself, our shareholders, but also these leagues, which has ultimately ended up being like a really good strategy for him.